Welcome to a journey through one of history's most captivating stories. In the annals of ancient history, few figures stand as tall as King David of Israel, a shepherd boy who would rise to become a legendary king, poet, and warrior. Known for his unwavering faith and remarkable leadership, David's life is a tapestry of triumphs, trials, and divine favor. From his humble beginnings in the fields of Bethlehem to his legendary battles and the unifying of a nation, David's story is both timeless and inspiring. Join us as we delve into the life of this remarkable leader, uncovering the events that shaped his reign and the legacy that continues to resonate through the ages. This is the story of King David, the shepherd who became a king and the man after God's own heart. If you enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories from history. Your support helps us bring more fascinating tales to life. Let's dive in. In the ancient hills of Bethlehem, a young boy named David tended his father's sheep. The youngest of 8 sons, David was often overlooked, a mere shepherd while his brothers concerned themselves with war and household affairs. Alone in the quiet fields, with only his sheep, his harp, and his God, David learned to trust in the Lord. He faced lions, bears, danger at every turn, but he stood firm, protecting his flock with courage far beyond his years. One day, the prophet Samuel came to David's home, sent by God himself. For the Lord had rejected King Saul and chosen a new king, a king after his own heart. One by one, Samuel examined David's brothers, but none were chosen. Finally, he asked, "Is there another?" David, the shepherd boy, was called in from the fields, and in that moment, God spoke. "This is the one." Before his family's astonished eyes, Samuel anointed David, pouring oil upon his head, a sign of God's favor. But the path to the throne was not immediate, nor would it be easy. Soon after, the Philistines, Israel's fiercest enemies, sent forth their champion, a giant named Goliath. For 40 days, Goliath mocked the armies of Israel, daring anyone to face him. None had the courage until David arrived. Sent by his father to bring food to his brothers, David heard Goliath's taunts. Outraged that this heathen would dare defy the armies of the living God, David stepped forward to fight. "The Lord who delivered me from the lion and the bear will deliver me from this Philistine." With nothing but a sling and 5 smooth stones, David approached the towering giant. Goliath sneered, mocking the boy before him. But David's faith was unshakable. "You come at me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." With a single deadly strike, David's stone hit Goliath square in the forehead. The giant collapsed, crashing to the ground, lifeless. In that instant, David's courage ignited a great victory for Israel. His fame spread like wildfire, and soon he was welcomed into King Saul's court. David's victories and his gift for music soon made him a favorite of King Saul. But as David's popularity grew, so did Saul's jealousy. The people sang in the streets, their voices echoing through the land. "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands." Blinded by envy, Saul sought to kill David. For years, David lived as a fugitive, hunted relentlessly by the very king he had once served. Yet, even in his darkest moments, when given the chance to strike Saul down, David refused. He honored Saul as God's anointed, knowing that vengeance belonged to the Lord alone. In the wilderness, David gathered a band of loyal followers, but he never lost his faith. Even as a fugitive, David's heart remained steadfast, waiting on God's timing. After Saul's death in battle, David was finally anointed king of Judah at the age of 30. For 7.5 years, He ruled from Hebron. But soon, the elders of Israel came to him, acknowledging his leadership and God's call. David was crowned king over all of Israel, uniting the tribes and establishing Jerusalem as his capital. As king, David led Israel to victory after victory, expanding its territory, securing peace. He brought the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem, making it not just the political heart of Israel, but its spiritual center. "I will build a house for the Lord," David declared, his heart full of devotion. But God had different plans. Through the prophet Nathan, the Lord promised David something far greater, a dynasty that would last forever. From David's line would come the Messiah, the hope of the world. Yet, even a man after God's own heart was not immune to temptation. One fateful evening, David saw Bathsheba, a beautiful woman bathing on a nearby rooftop. Despite knowing she was the wife of Uriah, one of his most loyal soldiers, David summoned her. They slept together, and when Bathsheba became pregnant, David's attempts to conceal his sin grew darker still. He orchestrated Uriah's death on the battlefield. God was displeased. Through the prophet Nathan, the Lord confronted David. "You are the man," Nathan declared, revealing David's sin for all its darkness. Stricken with guilt, David fell to his knees, pleading for mercy. He wrote Psalm 51, a cry from the depths of his soul for God's forgiveness. Though God pardoned him, the consequences of his sin rippled through his life. The child born to Bathsheba died, and David's household was consumed by turmoil. David's later years were marked by tragedy and family strife. His son Amnon violated his sister Tamar, and David's failure to act led to further catastrophe. Absalom, another of David's sons, took justice into his own hands, killing Amnon. This act of vengeance set Absalom on a path of rebellion against his own father. Absalom's uprising grew, and David, now an old man, was forced to flee Jerusalem, the city he had built. Though David's forces ultimately prevailed, the victory was bitter. Absalom, David's beloved son, was killed in battle. David wept bitterly, his heart shattered. "Oh, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you." David's reign spanned 40 years, years filled with triumphs and failures, with repentance and redemption. He prepared the way for his son, Solomon, to build the temple he had long dreamed of constructing. Though flawed, David's heart always returned to God. His psalms, sung in times of joy and sorrow, praise and lament, continued to inspire and comfort believers across generations. And from David's lineage came the fulfillment of God's greatest promise, the birth of the Messiah, Jesus Christ, the Redeemer of all mankind. David's story is a testament that God can use even the most imperfect of people for his perfect purposes. Through repentance, faith, and unwavering trust, the path to redemption is always within reach. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of one of history's most compelling figures. If you enjoyed this deep dive into King David's life, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that illuminate the past. Your feedback and support inspire us to continue sharing these incredible tales. Until next time, may the lessons of the past guide us in the present. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring.